All right, we got 5:30. We're going to call the meeting to order. 2.1, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, 3.1, approval of minutes. You had them for a while.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. 4.1, audit presentation for year-end June 30th, 2025. Mr. Keenan, the CPA from Forvis Misers, is that right?
We'll take it.
All right.
Okay.
Board, you,
What it is correct.
Mazars. I think
Mazars.
it's French or.
we have board, y'all have a handout, and there's a presentation. And you got the floor.
All right. Thanks, y'all, for having me. My name is Keenan Darcy. I'm here I'm an audit manager with Forvis Mazars. As mentioned, I'm here to present the financial statement and compliant
Could we
audit.
get a little bit closer? I'm sorry.
Yep. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I'll restart. My name's Keenan Darcy. I'm an audit manager with Forvis Mazars. I'm here to present the results for the financial statements and the compliance audit as of June 30th, 2025. We did want to note we are presenting a little bit later this year. In a typical year, we'd present a little bit earlier, but there were some delays from the federal government releasing the audit compliance supplement, which we're required to use for the federal, or our federal compliance audits. Did want to note the financial statements and the audit report have been approved by the state and have been accepted by the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. Oh, here's the agenda attached above. I'll start with our audit opinion. So ultimately, the purpose of our audit and all the work that we go into it is to enable us to issue an opinion on the financial statements. On this slide is an excerpt from our, of the financial statements and an excerpt of our audit opinion. The full version is in page 1 on the financial statements. This is considered an unmodified opinion, which is what financial statement users want to see. It basically shows to the users that all the information is, or it gives a reasonable assurance that all the information is materially accurate within the financial statements. Oops, sorry. Now we'll get into our required communications to the board. At the conclusion of our audit, there are certain matters that we are required to communicate to you all. Those are all included in the smaller package next to y'all. There's several items such as the scope of our audit, what our responsibilities as auditors are, but we just wanted to point out a couple highlights on the slide herein. One would be new accounting policies that were adopted by the LEA. The one in the current year is the adoption of GASB statement number 101, compensated absences. The only impact that this really had was it was to, it's the required adjustment to fix the accrued annual leave, not fix, but to change the way that accrued annual leave is accounted for, as well as the addition to account for the accrual of sick leave, where the board has to estimate how much that amount would be paid out for. These balances were corrected or adjusted to the beginning compensated absence balances within the financial statements in the governmental and the business type activities. These adjustments do not affect fund balance and are simply for the effect on the full accrual financial statements. The next item is our significant accounting estimates that we call out, which is the useful life of depreciable assets, as well as the proportionate share of net pension and OPEB liabilities. These are consistent with prior years, no new additions to these, and as well as consistent with other LEAs that we audit around the state. Next, getting into proposed and recorded adjustments, we are required to communicate if there were any material proposed and corrected audit adjustments, of which noted in there were no such instances to report. Same with uncorrected misstatements. These would be items where we deem them to be immaterial and the LEA passed on such adjustment. There were none of these noted as well. Now getting into our audit over internal controls and compliance. Similarly, we have to, in addition to our financial statement audit, we also are required to complete an audit over internal controls of financial reporting and compliance with the laws and regulations in accordance with government auditing standards. If we had identified a significant deficiency or material weakness, we'd be required to communicate that to you all, but as noted within, no such items were noted to communicate. Getting into our compliance audit over federal major programs, in addition to the internal controls, we complete an audit over federal and state major programs. These will vary year to year, primarily due to how much was expended during the current year, as well as how recently we have audited. In the current year, our federal major program was the special education cluster. Similar to internal control findings, we would have to report if we did identify any findings, of which we noted none. Moving on to the state programs, we had 2 state programs that we tested, one being the State Public School Fund and the other being the Needs-Based Public School Building Capital Fund. Similar to the federal programs, there were no such findings that we noted. All right, getting into the financial highlights. All right, so we summarized some high-level financial highlights from the financial statements herein. We'll start with revenues. Starting off with state revenues, you can see that they make up almost 70% of the total revenues in the current year. On a specific note here, out of that $56.4 million, 6.2 of that relates to that need-based capital grant for the Washington Elementary School. Excluding that grant, the operating funding would have increased approximately $800,000 or 1.6%. You'll see the big drop in the federal revenues. This is entirely related to the sunset of the ESSER programs. For some comparison, in 2024, there were $6.5 million of ESSER expenditures, with minimal in the current year pretty much being the sole reason for that decline. County funding remained flatline for the most part, and then capital, you'll see that increase by about $2 million, which is related to the county's portion of the grant for the construction of Washington Elementary School. And then moving into fund balance and cash, unassigned fund balance for the general fund increased by about $459,000 and a net fund balance position of $1.5 million. Cash at year end is sitting at $7.1 million, with the decrease from last year primarily being due to some decreases in cash within the special revenues fund and fund balance. That'll conclude my presentation, but we can open up for any questions specifically if you all have any.
Thank you for that presentation. One more time, for the ones way in the back.
Yep.
Can you state where you're from?
I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina.
All right. What company are you with?
Forvis Mazars.
Okay. What were your findings?
No findings.
Okay. And who certifies that?
We cert for the state.
Yes, sir.
So we report on all of any internal control findings, as well as financial statement or noncompliance with laws or regulations findings. We would ultimately report these. We would share them with the finance staff and report them through the federal audit clearinghouse as well as the state. And we have no findings to report.
Federal Audit Clearinghouse, no findings.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
everybody understands.
I'll try to, yeah.
The ones sitting here understand why I'm asking you these questions.
Fair.
So, thank you so much.
Of course.
Say there's a reason for that. You may not understand it, but the people, as he said, here and looking on national TV will understand this.
Yes.
Yeah, there is I can acknowledge accounting speak versus
Yes.
other. Yeah.
Donald had a question over there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And we have no litigation issues that we need to be concerned about. I know there's old issues in the past.
Correct. So regarding litigation, we would send out any required audit letters to relevant counsel, and all we evaluate from the financial statement side is whether they are reasonably possible or reasonably estimatable to disclose in the financial statements, and there was no such instances that there was a material outstanding or pending litigation that would be disclosed in the financial statements.
We would be concerned about.
Correct.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, and I want to really thank you, Christy. I
Yes.
appreciate it. This wouldn't have been possible without you and the people in your office and the people before you that left you in good shape. So I want to thank you. This is wonderful, and
Yeah.
as far as to piggyback on what Daniel said, the people in the room know everything's on the up and up. It's the people out in the room, and we'll make sure they get this.
Terry, you got anything?
No, I'm good. I've read through some of it, and I have no problem with it.
I wanted to
I'm gonna-
reiterate too, I'm sorry, just thanking him for his work.
Yep. I'm gonna make one, I'm gonna ask for the public, so you'll know. This is finance, this is auditing, not just one line item in our books, but our books, correct?
Correct. It
Not
includes,
a line item.
includes all the funds.
Okay, you say that again, one more time?
It includes all of the funds. We audit from a material perspective over all of the funds, correct?
Okay. So you audited all the funds, and you had no findings, as Mr. Hudson asked that again, correct?
Correct. That were reportable to the board, yes.
All right. Because we're accused of auditing one part of our books.
Okay.
For one finding, but I just wanted to make sure that and you are a, and you are a CPA, is that correct? That's
Correct,
what's-
sir.
And certified, public accountant.
Correct, sir.
Okay, all right. Ms. Booth?
I'm fine.
Mr. Rader?
Not at this time.
All right, cool.
Thank you
Thank y'all.
so much.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you, Ms. Potts.
no funny business going on?
Stacy, you got any questions?
No, I'm perfectly happy. Thank you.
The book is going to, you can pick up the book from Cindy at the office. She has 2 books for you.
Fantastic.
All righty. So in other words,
Thank
TW,
you.
no funny business at the school board.
No funny business at the school board. Imagine that. Who'd have thunk it?
Yep, who'd have thunk it?
All right, policy code 3450, class rankings, first read, Mr. Doon.
Yes, sir. The high school principals had asked that within policy 3450, there was a previous brief explanation and also an outdated chart regarding what to do in the case of ties for valedictorian, salutatorian, and marshals. And so the 4 high school principals got together and agreed on a much more thorough policy that they would like to see put into place that would be effective throughout all 4 schools, so it'd be uniformity amongst the schools. And because we seem to have this issue, at least in one place throughout each year, whether it's valedictorian, salutatorian, or marshals, that we have to break a tie because we have a lot of outstanding students doing a lot of outstanding things. So we need this level of scrutiny, and as you know, anytime there's a discussion about who is and who may not be a marshal or valedictorian or salutatorian, there's always lots of feelings involved, and we want to be as transparent as possible about how we'll decide what exact criteria we would use, so we can always point to this policy and say, this is how the decision came about. And this is much more clear than the previous policy, which led to a little bit of confusion about, and a little open-ended about what way we might break those ties. So.
I like the way you broke it, because I've read through it, because I've been on the receiving end of these parents, more than students, fussing about how this is determined. And you, or whoever helped you with it, you all have said, and if this happens, we do this. And then if this happens, we do this. So you've really broken it down, so ultimately, you will get to who is valedictorian, salutatorian, who are the marshals. And so thank you for doing this.
Well, our high school principals wrote this, but I'm prepared to take full credit for
Do
it.
that. We'll give you all the credit.
Anybody else got any questions for Mark on this one? This is first read, unless somebody else want anything different?
No, I was just going to say, I wish it was this clear when I was in school, because I know they cheated me out of valedictorian.
Oh,
Well, I would like to say that I've read over this a couple times, and I really like this. I mean, the data's there. You can prove it. You can show it. There's no funny business. No, he likes me. She likes me. They don't.
It's here.
I think it's cleaned it up a lot.
You
If you can
tell.
read, you can figure it out.
Yes.
And now that you say that, I'm gonna take credit away from you. You can tell that you high school principals had a hand in it, because you've dealt with every single scenario at one time or another.
And I think
So
that
you've kind of cleaned that up.
2 years ago, Tracy, you were
Yes.
down to like 4 decimal points to get somewhere. Yep. So that's how tight these kids are.
Yep,
That's-
yep.
Well, you can always tell when the principals have something to do with it, because it actually makes sense.
Thank you.
All right, 4.3, school closing procedure, Mr. Doon, for Eastern and John Cotton Taylor.
Yes, sir. We are at the stage where we need to hold a public hearing on the closure of Eastern Elementary and John Cotton Taylor. I wanted to propose the idea that at our April 13th work session that we possibly meet at 5 p.m. That would give us time to announce. We could do it in this room prior to the regularly scheduled board meeting at 5:30, allow any public comment towards the closing, and that would be the next step in the process. And then depending on the board's opinion, we could have it on the agenda that night to go ahead and move on to the next step of the process. This is integral because we need to get state codes. There are school names, school codes that are associated. Until the board makes a final decision, we're not able to ask the state to allow us to get a new school number for Washington Elementary School and kind of move forward with the process.
You can do it when?
I would suggest April 13th at 5 o'clock.
Okay, all right. And you're going to advertise it a lot?
Yes, assuming the board agrees that that's a good date to have
And
it.
maybe ask the staffs at both schools to make sure either something goes home with the students or is posted on the doors as you walk in, so they can't say, I didn't know anything about it.
Everybody good? Everybody got a April 13th? Everybody good? Can we get a head shake? It's not a motion, it's just a head shake. Everybody good with that? 5 o'clock?
Okay.
All right, so, all right, that's the public hearing, and Mark's going to get it all out to the public. Go ahead, Ted.
No, I'm just going to say, it's just a shame that everything we say, I have to make sure everybody understands, not the group that's here. But if they came to the party late, it's not just that we're closing a school and sending kids home. We're opening a new school.
Correct.
And
Yes,
they're
sir.
moving to the new school. So, yes, don't want
And
to get
that-
blamed for closing school and telling kids, go find your education wherever you can get it. We're moving them to a new school. It's a shame that we have to explain everything like
new
this
modern
every
school.
time. A very new, safe, modern school.
And that word has been very misused lately.
That's why when anybody says closure of a school, it just makes me, the hair stand up on the back of my neck, because I understand it, but somehow it just never translates to the media that way.
All righty, if we're good for April, you got that? Got all that information? We're good to go. All right, 4.4, BCS Office of Civil Rights Audit Review, Mr. Doon.
Yes, sir. So attached, just about two months ago, the Federal Office of Civil Rights, along with that office also enforces the Americans with Disabilities Act. We had a review of all of our high school facilities, our 3 traditional high school facilities. And what you see are the results of that audit. Overall, for the most part, a fine audit, just some minor technical issues, things like we may have some signage in the wrong place, we may have a water fountain that doesn't meet the right height. Now, keep in mind, some of these things were built so for example, some of the water fountains we're talking about were built when Northside High School was originally constructed. They haven't been changed since that time. There's certain parking spaces in the parking lot, need to make sure they're clear signage for handicap parking, things of that nature. So this audit is about facilities. It's about notice to employees about our Title IX, in terms of our policies, who to contact if there's an issue, all the things we do, and we notify parents and students who to contact if there are issues. So what we have proposed is, along with Ms. Potts, Mr. Stokes, we believe roughly it'll take approximately about $30,000 of capital contingency funds to repair issues, make changes throughout the 3 high schools. Ms. Godfrey's already working. There were some website issues. She's working with those. We have to install some minor sound equipment in our auditoriums for students and visitors who might be hearing impaired, but we believe we can knock all this out probably by late fall, when we have to submit a plan, and we want to use our capital contingency money to take care of these items.
I was reading about March 13th. That's when you have to submit the plan.
That's correct. We just want to be able to say that we've apprised the board and that we are putting things in motion, we've dedicated funds, and that, we're addressing this and we'll begin the process. We don't have to have everything corrected by the end. We just have to start.
I went through it. I'm going to be real honest. I didn't read all 80 pages.
There's quite a bit there, but
80 pages, I didn't read them all. But I
Really?
read enough of them.
they are very minor.
Are you
luckily.
serious?
It was 80 pages.
It's
Oh, I
like
know what it is. You didn't read all 80 pages?
You didn't either. Can't fool me.
Anybody got any questions for Mark on that one?
No.
All righty. We're moving on down. 4.5 curriculum programs, you have an attachment.
Yes, sir. So the board requested, as you were considering the textbook purchase for science adoption, which we will bring back to you at the next meeting to discuss. We did have the middle school teachers got together and worked out which of the two companies they would choose. So we'll bring back some more information about that at the next meeting. But you had also asked for a list of all of our curriculum programs. So what you have here is the program name, the purpose, and I tried to group it by if it's K-5, if it's K-8, if it's 6-8, or if it's high school, the actual vendor, because sometimes the vendor name and the program name are not the same. The date is when the next time we would be responsible for making a payment. You can see the contract period. You can see the projected cost. Now, these can always change because, you know, some of these aren't going to be paid until July. Some of these wouldn't be paid until December of 26. So this is our estimated cost, and then you see the funding source. And what you'll see is credit to Ms. Potts. She, in order to maximize personnel, which is our highest expense, 85% of our budget goes to personnel, she's used as many state funds and as many federal funds and tried to resist using local funds and low wealth funds because those fluctuate all the time. And so you'll see that for most of our curriculum programs, we're trying to use the limited dollars that we have in certain areas like local funding, low wealth supplement, there are also pots of money from the state like state literacy. You can't use that for anything but a literacy program. And so she is trying to maximize our dollars and not put people in their smaller finite amounts of money so in these categories. So these are currently, I've met with all of our all of our principals and given each one of them the sheet based on, you know, their certain area, and all of these programs in some form or another are being used throughout the system. If you see, for example, some of them may just be workbooks. So for example, with Bridges Math, we're not necessarily buying and continuing to buy a very large, expensive curriculum. The schools that use Bridges, we're talking about $2,500 worth of workbooks. Same thing with M-Class. M-Class is a state requirement that in some years we get lucky and the state pays for it, and some years they say this is an unfunded mandate and we have to pay for it. But in addition to M-Class, if you do use it in grades 4 and 5, then we spend about $2,000 to make that work for those students. So not all of these are giant purchases. Some of these are just maintaining things that we already have. Others are different programs. You know, iReady, for example, is a K-8 program. We're fortunate to use our federal Title I money to pay for iReady throughout for all students K-8. And so there'll probably be some changes, especially some of these that aren't due until the fall, because these programs are always evolving. If you notice, towards the end, we have StudySync and Springboard, but those companies are actually going away, and Common Lit is what is replacing them. So you won't see those names, but it still falls under the original curriculum adoption for all of our ELA. And so the names may change and the contracts may change, but it still falls under what the board originally approved. So these are all curricular programs or things like quizzes or Delta Math, which are supplemental instruction. So you have main programs, but you also have supplemental programs as well. And you can see the variance of the prices there.
But none of this is coming out of textbook funds?
So some of it is, we are trying to limit our textbook funds to buy the new science curriculum.
Right.
But Lexia has already been purchased for this fiscal year, and that did come out of textbooks funds.
Because this total is a lot more than what we have. And correct me if I'm wrong, but did you say last time that there's no way for us to know what kind of monies they'll drop in the textbook funding for next year?
Well, we do have our plan allotment, yes ma'am. DPI released our plan allotments on Friday, and I think I have a copy of it here. So I had kind of pre-calculated what I thought we would get, and I'm proud to say I kind of hit that one right on the spot, because I estimated we'd get like $196,000, and that's what DPI says is going to be our drop for next year. So
Say, how much again? Say
$196,000. The exact figure they're saying is $196,264 even. So that's down in comparison to what we've gotten in the past, but this would be based on our ADM. And I don't know if y'all know this, but DPI funds us based on our ADM, and they do it best one of two, and it's in the rears. So that's how they calculate. That's the figure they would use to calculate.
So
So,
is that still gonna be enough to
Steve's
buy the, science curriculum?
No, not out of textbook, no ma'am. So my plan at this point is, I think it would be best to pay for as much of that curriculum as we can up front. And so what my plan is over this month after we do payroll, then usually by the end of March, we have a very good idea of what it'll take to do payroll for the next 2 months. And then we have a very good idea of what amount of money would be left in each PRC. There are other PRCs, not many, but there are others, that we can actually buy textbook with those funds. And so what my hopes are is to look and calculate exactly what we need to get through this fiscal year. And the ones that we can buy textbook with, and I'll give you an example like low wealth, to use what's left in that, because it's state money, we have to use it by the end of June, use that to pay a portion of the science curriculum. It won't free up a lot of your textbook money, but it's a situation, it's tax money, we need to use it from the state or we'll lose it, so I'm gonna see how we come out.
Is that restricted on how you can use it?
Yes, ma'am. You have a chart of accounts for each PRC. And so as I'm going through each budget, I am pulling the chart of accounts off of the DPI website and looking to see, is that one that we could buy textbook out
Because
of?
I don't wanna take money away from people.
Oh, no, we're not going to take money away from people. With your permission, would like to make sure that all people get paid first.
Steve, did you have a question?
Yeah, I think that's it.
yes, so assuming we can pay for the science curriculum, is this going to leave anything for social studies?
It is going to leave you very little for social studies. I don't know the exact figure, but it will leave you with very little for social studies.
So maybe,
And the high school one has to be paid entirely.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
That one
There's
has
no
to be
payment
entirely
plan.
upfront.
Well, to be
Yes,
honest
ma'am.
with you, our goal, Christy and I have talked about this, our goal is to bring to you a plan to, assuming whichever science curriculum the board ultimately chooses and whichever version, the 3-year, the 5-year, we'd like to pay for it all and be done with it. We don't want to finance it, we don't want to linger it, we want to be done so that it's paid for.
okay. One of the aspects on the social studies, though, is there's some free curricula out there, and maybe that's what we need to look for to get a social studies curricula in a timely manner. I mean,
But we're talking about science now, not social
yeah,
studies.
but
Yeah, but he's talking about if we have any money left.
yeah, but we're also talking about the money. So
Yeah.
that's
We have to plan for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to continue to plan, but
We
so
are.
my recommendation, like you, is come back with your funding sources, and where you're going to get the fundings, and the next meeting when you come back, and we'll go from there.
That's what
And-
you're welcome.
And can I ask one? And as we spoke at the last meeting, make sure it's separated in the lines of future monies,
Yes.
because I'm not interested in future monies paying for,
I'm
well,
not either.
future promises paying for something today.
Exactly. I'm not interested in that either.
Okay, just,
Good, Donald.
I don't get a vote, but I'm not interested in that either.
and, well, you bring it to us. so-
I'll bring it to you like, I'll bring you the best answer I think is
Right.
for the benefit of the kids.
Good, Don.
I'm just curious about restrictions, money that are restricted. What happens if we, by mistake, use something at a restricted? What happens if we do that by mistake? Do we have to pay that back, or how does that work?
Okay, so I think you're asking is if we were to accidentally use
For something that we shouldn't have
there's
used?
something we shouldn't have used, it's not in the chart of accounts. And I will do my best to make sure that does not
Well, I
happen.
know
But if
that.
that does happen and you are using state money, you will be asked to pay it back.
Pay it back, yeah. That's what I thought.
So the best place to get that money to pay it back, of course, would be local or Fund Aid.
Yeah.
But we do our best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Anybody else got any questions?
Mm.
All right. 4.6, budget update, Ms. Potts.
Okay, so I've got you a budget update here, and you guys give me some feedback. I thought maybe the easiest way to do it is do it similar to what a budget amendment looks like, because I know pretty much everybody on the board is used to seeing the beginning budget, and you're used to seeing it by funding source, And then if there's any kind of adjustments, which would be an increase in revenue, and then you would have a new total budget. So I prepared this very similar to what your budget amendments normally look like. And we have had a little bit of an increase. Now, this is as of the end of February, okay? And by the end of February, we had received some additional funds, most of it being Fund 8. And we did have an increase of around $708,000. So on the second page, I have down at the bottom, I put what your beginning budget was, and then I put total budget, which is where you stand right now on your general ledger.
So,
Where'd that money come from?
Okay, that's a good question.
let me start right before you do this, before you explain that, so the board will understand what I'm doing here. I've asked Christy to start dropping this once a month on one of the on the work session, so everybody can just be up to date with where we are funding wise, because we got a lot of moving parts with WES. We got a lot of moving parts with everything, so she's going to be dropping these regularly from now on.
Okay, good.
So, all right, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so you're used to the state and the federal allotments. You know, during the month we might get some, or they might take some back. We get those allotments from DPI, so we know how to handle those. So I figure y'all are all pretty much familiar with those. We have not had any increase in our local, which, you know, that comes from the county commissioner, so it's going to be what it is. You know that by June, you know what we're going to get there. So in Fund 4, you're going to see $14,800. That is the STIF grant for the Washington High School facility that Cameron, I believe.
Cameron Boltez.
Yes, I believe had been working on. So there has been a design company
We approved
used
that.
to get, and so this is what we had to pay them a deposit. So this is the exact amount of that deposit, and we got reimbursed for that deposit. And as they bill us for the second half of that PO, then we can get reimbursed for that. But so far, we've not gotten an additional bill.
Since that was state budgeted money and budgets ago, does that flow straight to you, or does that come through the?
It comes through the county.
Okay.
So that's a good question. This actually works just like your WES grant. It flows through the county. I don't have access to that money, so when I need to be reimbursed, I submit that to Anita, and she takes care of getting it submitted to DPI and gets the reimbursement for us. So I actually don't have anything that money does not flow through me, okay? But that's a good question. And then down in Fund 8, you have various things that have come in, and I'll just kind of go through. So there was some evaluation forms that were done with some of the EC kids, and that was a compensation. The $4,000, the $79 is a combination of a Medicare reimbursement and ROTC. We receive that monthly. Then the $4,400 is a combination of interest and sales tax refund and the rental of our facilities. $4,800 is a combination of donations, grants, and indirect cost. And then the $4,900 is I can tell you that is the tech fee insurance that we charge our students, and that's what that is. Does anybody got any questions?
Yep.
Does everybody like this format, or you
I
want me to
think
do
the
something
format's
different?
great.
Fine.
Okay.
I do have a question moving into capital tours next week, as it pertains to Fund 4. Once we go through with obviously the school staff, there's a capital outlay put in place, it's agreed upon and voted on by the board. Is there any need or any reason for anyone to come back to the board for approval for any particular project? Or once that entire outlay is voted on and approved, does that kind of give the autonomy to move forward with that?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on, I mean, once the board approves the capital list of what projects based on the funding that we receive, I mean, we always, obviously, our numbers are best estimate. And so we're going to have to come back, especially if the estimate is incorrect, or also depending on if we bid something out or if Jamie and his team handle it in-house.
I got you.
So if it's an in-house project, you know, for example, it's a painting project and we say it's $5,000, we feel pretty comfortable based on Jamie's experience and his team, it's going to be $5,000 and they're going to take care of it. But if we're bidding it out, we're going to bring it back before the board and say, this is what we estimated, this is the final cost, these are the bids that we have, and seek your approval.
So
But I mean,
if
we
they-
wouldn't change the list unless the
Yeah.
board said, let's look at, when, usually when Mr. Stokes does updates about, here's where we're at in completion, here's where we're in process, if there was another item on the list, sometimes there's been in the past where we've looked at certain projects and realized it's not feasible to do it. And for example, it wasn't feasible to buy a wrecker. So we said, we're going to take that wrecker money and with the board's approval, we're going to work on the tracks and put the deposits down to fix the track at south side and north side.
So if there's a capital need that's not on the list that exceeds a certain dollar amount, it would come back before the board?
Normally, yes.
Okay. So if we had something on the list that the function or description of that capital outlay agreement or that capital need changed, would that need to come back before the board?
I mean, generally, we try to keep the board informed of issues. I mean, if a principal calls us and says, hey, this has just happened and I'd like to, you know, rearrange some things.
Right.
Then, unless it's something, again, minor, you know, we're talking a rug or, you know, something of that nature, then.
Well, what I'm talking about specifically, and I've thought about this, and maybe it's just the way my mind is wired, you know, as we look at capital, I look at vehicles, equipment, things of that need as capital. Obviously, it's property. Is there any way, as we start our capital tours, we could get some information on vehicles? Like who's driving what, where, who has what are the needs there around that?
Mr. Miller has a list of every vehicle and who which department it reports to. That's not a problem.
I'd love to get that.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, can you provide that for the board too,
Be
please?
glad to.
Thank you.
Question, not a question, Stan.
Good.
But a while back, all the capital list of items, I think I'm right, Jamie, we passed and gave you permission up to, was it 25,000? 25. Right, so that we wouldn't see, because at one time, we were seeing things for 4,000, 3,000,
and that
5,
doesn't-
6,
that
you know
doesn't
what I'm
make
saying?
sense.
But
That
you know what I'm
doesn't
saying?
make sense. Yeah.
And that was able to let him move much quicker on,
Yeah.
I guess, is it still working that way? It was letting him move faster, but anything other than that has to come back to the board.
Yeah.
And he brings.
and he does anyway, but I mean, no, but I-
Say, we had to do this.
But I just
the
want him to
other
know
part
that if he had something for 20 and it came about that, he's under the 25 threshold, he can go ahead and do that.
Well, the other part of it too, that, and materials are still moving.
Yeah.
Prices are moving. We were getting bids at, like, if there was a bid due tomorrow and we didn't meet for, if it was like
Right.
December.
Exactly.
Heck, we may not meet for almost
Yeah.
a month and a half, and them
Yeah.
prices were escalating.
Right.
We were getting stuck.
And
That
I'm
was a good
not
point.
just speaking about, you know,
Yeah.
our maintenance department.
No.
Yeah.
I'm in general talking
Oh,
about.
yeah, capital, yeah.
stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, but yeah.
Anybody else got any questions about this budget? Do y'all like this? No, good.
Well, yeah, this is something I'd asked about earlier about getting us monthly financials. So I want to thank whoever has been involved in this on both the staff and our chairman, because it's something I think any organization needs. And in fact, every management situation, every oversight board I've been on, we've had monthly financials. So that this is a step I think that was needed. Your terminology in your columns, I think one of them ought to be clear as far as the original amount that was budgeted. And maybe you can adjust your terms there, and then the amount that was spent and the remaining part for the fiscal year. So that's clear that anybody looking at the budget.
So would you rather have something off of the DART system that is provided by DPI? I mean, it's public knowledge. But, so my column that says beginning budget is your original budget.
As far as the
It's got
adjustments, you keep a
beginning
running
budget, it
total
shows
of
you-
those, right? Yeah,
And the total is what?
So the adjustment column is a running total.
it's a running total.
But I mean, I will do, what y'all would
I'm
like.
used to this sheet here. this one here is
Yeah.
one that I can work off this one easy.
Yeah,
It's
Okay.
pretty simple to understand its layout.
I think
Yeah.
it may be that you can just adjust the terminology where it's clear.
Okay, what would you like for me to call it now?
Instead of beginning budget, put total budget, and then,
That would be misrepresenting it.
Third column's total budget.
The third column's total budget, that'd be misrepresenting the
okay,
column.
or original budget,
Yeah, right.
and then remaining budget. I think those terms.
Why don't you do
are clear.
original and total? Because the
Original-
total, that's the two line items added together to make the total. You know,
I like beginning budget, that just seems to make sense.
I like beginning budget too.
I mean, starting budget, beginning budget, that's
Yeah.
where we take off.
That's where we start off, and then you've got the adjustment in the middle. Take line item 1, we started at that number, and then we adjust, and it got adjusted to that, and then that tells you the total.
Okay, well, most adjustments in the course of a budget are going to be subtractions rather than additions.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm more interested in the subtractions, the ones in the
So-
parentheses.
The,
More money's good.
so the section
there is
below
parentheses
the
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I see it.
They're
revenue
there.
is your expenditures. Does that help you, Mr. Rader? So if you look at, let's say if you look at, we'll just look at the first one. Let's look at funding source 1. So 3,100 is your revenue. So those are your allotments that come from DPI. And then anything that's below that, which is 5,100 all the way down to 7,200, those are your expenditures.
Okay, so
Does that help?
your adjustments are what's come in this month?
So your adjustment is going to be your increase in revenue, and then you're going to see down there with your expenditure lines, you're going to see where that increase was, increased your budget for your expenditures.
Okay, but what I'm asking though is your adjustment is the change during this month, correct?
No, sir, this is from your fiscal year through the end of February. So it'll be
Okay.
July 1 through the end of February.
It's not monthly,
It's a
It's
running
not
total.
monthly.
it's a running total. It's a
Yes,
running
it's a running
total.
total.
So,
There's not a monthly budget, it's a yearly budget.
well, that's true. Every budget I've ever worked with is a yearly budget, but it comes in a form where you have each month's additions or subtractions, and then a remaining figure. Every
I'm
budget.
how about if I run a report and let you review it? It's on the public website, it's on DPI. The public has access to it, and you can pull it up. It's in the DART system. And I think that might be the report you're looking for. How about if I
And see how it
send you a
looks,
link?
and see how it looks.
Yeah.
Yes, and then you
If it
look
makes
at
sense,
I
Doug.
I was just trying to give a good, simple overview of where we are budget-wise.
But Ms. Potts, this is real-time data. This is accurate data to the week,
Yes.
month.
Yes, so
It's not
this,
like this is where we
See, the
are.
February the 28th.
right.
Yes, so I just want to make sure the board understands
Yeah,
that this
this-
is actual real data. It's not broken down month to month, but
Right.
it's where we are currently right now.
Yes, this was truly your general ledger balance
Okay.
at the end of February.
That's simple enough
Yes.
for me.
But she
And
can,
started
she can
July
print the
1st.
report and let Steve look
Yeah,
at it.
and then
Yeah.
he can look at it, and
Right.
I'll show you how to find that, because it is public knowledge, and you can go to the DPI website and pull it up on the DART. It's
Well-
DART reports is what they're called.
Could you submit that to board members?
I can, how about if I send y'all a link tomorrow?
Yeah,
and
just
then
send the board a link.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be pretty lengthy,
It's gonna be
but I
very-
think it might be what you're looking for.
You just email the board a link.
Sure. We take care of that.
5.1 WS distribution, got a
Okay.
link.
So, well, this is distribution number 15. And this one, I believe, is all WIMCO. Let me just double check to make sure. Yes, this one is all WIMCO, and it's all construction. So this time they were asking for 2.7 million and some change. And I have also included your breakdown that gives you a good summary of where we are with state funds and with the local disbursements as well. Has anybody got any questions about disbursement 15?
No.
Okay.
We
We need a, that's the action.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this,
oh,
that's-
this is
I
the
was just
pay.
gonna say, are we where we're supposed to be?
Yes, sir, I hope so.
Oh, well,
It looks
don't
good to
say ho.
me.
Don't
It
say
looks
ho.
good to me.
All right, hang on.
Second.
All right, we had a motion and a second, and all in favor of this disbursement, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Yeah, done.
5.2 WES annual report.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Potts.
Okay, so this is your annual report. So this is part of your requirements for getting the need-based grant. So you have to report back to DPI basically how much money has been dispersed at this point, and it's due to DPI by April 1st. So what we did this last year, at the time we did it last year, I think we'd only had like maybe one disbursement. So this would include everything, and it basically is a summary of this spreadsheet that you guys have.
Does it include what we just approved or not?
Yes, it actually does. Mhm. So when, what we'll do is we'll send the signed reports over to Anita tomorrow morning, and she will go ahead and process the disbursement 15, plus she will put this on the commissioner's agenda, and when they sign, then she will actually submit this to Mr. Hinton up at DPI.
So WIMCO has to wait basically a whole month to get paid?
'Cause they just had the
Usually it
meeting.
takes 45 to 60 days, but I think
They won't
Anita
be
has
in
worked
for-
with them and been able to do better than that. So, but yes, it is a process. It does take about 6 weeks. Because DPI only approves these at the end of the month. So the way our meetings fall versus the commissioners' meetings fall, and then you've got to submit it, and Mr. Hinton and his committee, they approve them on between the 26th and the 28th of every month.
So they'll wait more than a month because
So yeah, it's usually,
before it gets to the commissioners, and then it won't get to them till the 1st of April.
right.
This is an action.
Yeah, well, I
Move
just.
approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Okay, now I still want to ask her a question. So this is showing we've dispersed 25 million in change and 5 million in change on local.
Yes, sir.
I mean, on local, but
On-
yeah, well,
yes, the
local,
local,
I'll
yes,
call it
sir.
local.
Yes, sir.
So,
I know we've.
okay, yeah, we just need to make sure WIMCO comes, and they have been, gets back in here at the next meeting and gives us an update on where they're at on construction. If I give 60% of the money, I want to see how much of the building's done.
Yeah. And with that being said, I guess, and Jamie's in here, I don't know if this is more a thing for him or we need to line up with WIMCO, but is there a time that would work good? Like if one of us or a couple of us wanted to get together and go out and walk through and just take a look, kind of where we are?
Yeah, I'd like to do
Yeah,
that.
if you just give me a call, I've got hard hats at the office, and
Yeah.
I'll line it up, I'll add rolls, and we'll walk you through.
I think last time I was there, they caught me on camera and it was kind of a thing, so.
Well, you shouldn't have gone at midnight.
Well, it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, man, you know? My day's just getting started at midnight.
They call the police on you, Dan?
It's about time for Brad to come back.
They do it pretty quick though.
Yeah, I think he told me he would be back in a month or so.
Danny, why don't you find something that works in your schedule and let Jamie and y'all work it out and let me know, and I'll make it work for me.
If you let
But
me
I'd like to
know,
go with you.
I'll hang out with you.
I just like kind of just cruise
Yeah.
through.
Yeah,
see
me
what we
too.
got.
Let us
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
And board, remember, we set the date of the ribbon cutting, which was August 17th? August 17th.
I'm
Remember
scrolling. Yes, August 17th,
that? All right, August 17th.
10 a.m.
10
a.m.
a.m., yeah.
Miss
Everybody
Makepeace
got
will have
that?
cookies.
Yep.
You said Miss Kirby's bringing cookies?
I said, Miss Makepeace says, don't tell Miss Kirby.
Field trip request, Mr. Doon.
Yes, sir. Washington High School, JRTC Summer Camp, University of South Carolina, June 6th through the 13th, 2026. 4 male students, 2 male adults, 4 female students. Transportation is provided by the U.S. military.
Awesome.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And before we go into closed session, I wanted to say something really quick. We don't have many people in here. You know, we've had a heck of a year. We've lost students. And we shouldn't be burying that many students. We should not. And I realize we have principals who go their entire career and never lose a student. And now we have several principals who, in the last 2 and 3 years, have had to bury a student.
Yeah.
And I am really concerned about our mental health abilities to provide the services these families need, because we're down to one, right? One social worker, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
And that's just laughable. With everything, there is a dark cloud over Beaufort County, and if you don't believe it, it's true. And I'm going to be working with a couple of people and pastors in our community. There is a stigma with parents, and it crosses the cultural lines. Doesn't matter your financial ability, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. There is a stigma that a lot of families do not want to admit that they need therapy. They need family support, they need mental health support, they need psychological counseling, and they don't do it. And I'm not saying that certainly is not the cause of all the students that we've lost, but we've lost some because of that. And I've talked with about 5 pastors who are on board and want to share it with as many pastors as we can, because we can preach it and you can preach it. But if your pastor is preaching it from the pulpit, saying, get help for your family, I will help you find that help. I would even like for us, and this is my request, so y'all can vote it down when we do the budget, I would like to have a separate line item that we submit to the county commissioners asking for additional funding for mental health providers. Because I want them to look at the public and say, no, we're not going to give you the money for that.
Carolyn, I've got a similar concern, and I think Terry witnessed it too, and I didn't realize, but in early voting, talking to some of the teachers about the drug use of our students in our schools, I didn't realize that it was much as it was, or that it is. And so I'm concerned about that.
We have a lot of students that are not
I know
okay.
it's hard. What can we do about that?
It's all part of the same thing. I think they need to have counseling and,
That's why, when you brought that up, that made me think of that.
right.
We need to request funding, just like you said, and we also need to encourage the state, pass a budget.
Really?
Pass a budget.
We're now entering a budget year, and we haven't got a budget for the last year.
I've done some research.
Maybe that's why
on
you're
the-
seeing some of the election results you're
federal money
seeing.
that's supposed to drop down, and it's this big, large number. It looks great. When you divide it amongst all the public and charter schools that are going to have access to it, it doesn't hardly pay for one person.
No,
Doesn't hardly pay for
well,
one extra person.
one worker for the county is I mean, I'll take anything, but you know yourself, it's a joke.
And I know DSS is spread thin. I know our medical staffs and our doctors' offices are spread thin. But we got to get our heads out of the sand.
Carolyn,
This is
I know-
bad, and we're losing too many students.
Carolyn,
I'm
I
off my soapbox.
know, there's Trillium there. I mean, they're supposed to provide these services free.
But they're spread thin too.
Yeah.
Right, and
They
we've
only
used
have
them.
so many providers.
And we've used them before, and while, sure, we'll use the help, that's not the answer. We've had that experience with them. We need money to, we need money to hire.
gotta happen.
Right.
There's too many,
We need money to hire
I've talked to too many
people.
teachers and principals that are in tears because they do not know how to help these children.
And we need, I'll go one step further, we need to be able to offer our staff help
Yes.
and make it available.
Well,
Yes, they're burning
Because-
out.
Because they're burning out and you can't deal with.
Well, let's
so much.
just try to get the budget for this year, and from what I'm seeing, I think you're gonna be dealing with some new people next year.
Yep, I agree.
And
I
I
hope so.
understand that one of our problems, right, Mark, is that they can go, a mental health provider, whether they're a social worker, a family therapist, a psychological, psychiatric therapist, they can go anywhere else and make more money than what they can with us, right?
They, much like a math teacher or
Yeah.
biology teacher.
Pretty
they
much
certainly
all of our
can.
staff.
Yes.
So I'm not trying to shortchange any classroom teacher, but we may have to pony up a little extra to get them
Sure.
to want to come. All right.
It all begins with budgets.
Terry, go.
Okay, so I guess it's my time. I move that we go into closed session pursuant to General Statutes 143, 318, 11A1, A3, and A6 to prevent disclosure of confidential personal information under General Statute 115C319, 115C321, and to consult with the board's attorney to preserve attorney-client privilege.
Second.
If that's needed in here. I'm sure it was needed.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you to our loyal crowd.